Hello and welcome to The Entrepreneurial Musician, a newsletter, coaching service, podcast, and blog preparing today's musicians for tomorrow's realities. Today's episode is titled, Should You Not Try So Hard? Thank you to Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for TEM. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba Mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today's episode is also brought to you by Perseverance. This episode is absolutely cursed. This is the fourth time that I am attempting to record this. The first time, it actually went smoothly, except for the fact that I did not notice that my Zoom H6 had shut itself off, and that rather than even just defaulting to the actual internal mic here on my iMac, that it was something that did not record any sound. And I only figured that out when I tried to transcribe the file without sound 3 separate times and kept being baffled as to why it was coming back with nothing. I then tried to record it again and got distracted like 7 minutes in. Then I tried to record it again. These are like on consecutive days here. And then at 6 minutes, something happened and the whole thing went haywire. Today I sit down. This is day 3, attempt number 4. And I turn on my first light tower, and then I turn on the second light tower, and then pop, and then a fuse blows in the second light tower. So I was only half lit up, and it wasn't my good half. Many of you are wondering what my good half is. Anyway, I had to find a spare fuse. Anyway, goodness gracious. So even if this episode isn't any good, I hope you just lie to yourself and just say that it was great, because my goodness, was it a lot of effort, and it's all about me. Should you not try so hard? Maybe I should listen to this episode and not try so hard with making TEM episodes, but I digress. Derek Sivers has a blog post from a few years ago that I actually linked to in the newsletter, which I will plug here, signup.tem.fm. I've gotten really good feedback from the people who have subscribed to the Portfolio Career Playbook, and this was in the quartet of ideas from a few weeks ago. This blog post is called Relax for the Same Result, and he tells this very cool story about this bike ride that he used to do on the boardwalk near his house, and that he, for exercise purposes, would regularly put himself into the red. He would go as hard as he possibly could on this loop there and back, and that he did it a bunch, and he kept timing it, and it was always right around 43 minutes. He then decided one day to just kind of, still be out for some exercise, but to take all the edge off and to kind of enjoy himself. And he timed it, and he couldn't believe it, but it was 45 minutes. And he actually timed it a few times, and he kept getting 43, and he kept getting 45. So the bottom line was that going deep into the red was improving his time by about 4%. And so the question then is, what areas of your life and of your career are you doing what Derek did, which was going into the red for very little gain? I'm reminded, by the way, of Marty Hackelman, who is one of the greatest horn players to ever live. He was the principal horn of the National Symphony. He was also a member of the Canadian Brass and Empire Brass, and just a legendary career. He once, in a masterclass that I attended, was talking about his routine, which he did not call a warm-up. He said that his daily routine, that a byproduct of that was that he would be warmed up both physically and mentally, which there's a great parallel there, right? I've talked a lot on this podcast about having a system, trusting the system, and then just trusting that the results will be there rather than being emotionally tied to having results that happen, in real time. And so Marty talked about that it was a byproduct of his routine was that he would warm up. He was very intense about his horn playing, which is why he was one of the greatest to ever do it. And he said that his goal every single day was to simply try to make every single exercise he played better than the day before. Now, sometimes it's possible to just play it better, but you can't really play something more in tune if it ends up being perfectly in tune, right? So the way that he described how he kind of unpacked that was sometimes better simply meant the same results for less effort. And that is basically goes hand in hand with what Derek was talking about and with how I'm trying to apply this to my portfolio career. So the question is this: what can you spend less effort on and get the same results that you're getting now, or getting close to the same results that you are getting now? For me, lately, I've been exerting more effort in setting up systems, and that has enabled me to spend less time and effort getting things done because it has taken a lot of the decision making out of the equation, which to me, that kind of gets momentum. And I cannot tell you how useful it is, as an example, for me, then before I go to bed, to set my schedule for the next day and to figure out what I'm doing. That ensures that I'm doing the important work, and then also that I start, or rather not start, but that I put the most important work in my peak productivity times. It's extra time, but then everything is so much easier. We must be intentional. We must be intentionable. I like that. I'm keeping that. I'm not editing that out. I'm not editing anything out of this because this is attempt 4 and you're going to get what you're going to get. Anyway, now I'm scolding you. I'm the one who recorded with no sound and I'm yelling at my audience, which seems like a super sustainable business model. We must be intentional about how we approach two things: the making of our art, but also the business side of our art. And we need to always be looking for ways that we can scale back our time or effort or both and get the same results, or results that are absolutely good enough. Okay, today's quote is from F.W. Nickel. Quote, "When you get right down to the root of the meaning of the word succeed, you find it simply means to follow through. Starting can be hard, but so is having the courage to finish something and share it with the world. Having follow through is probably the single most important characteristic that I see in people who succeed in the music business. That also goes for the TEM coaching clients, and I've worked with a lot now. I've worked with some that have really bad follow through, a whole bunch that are somewhere in the middle of that bell curve, and then some who have just legendary follow through. And the single most important characteristic of where you fall on the bell curve in terms of productivity and moving your most important things forward is absolutely follow through. But not just following through on anything. It has to be the most important work. And that's why clarity of your best path ahead is not just important, but critical. It reminds me of the Dale Carnegie quote, which I can't quite find right now, and I did look, but it's about how nothing is more tragic than work done well or more efficiently that never should have been done at all. So get some clarity and some follow through in that order, and then go change the world. Thank you very much for listening, for watching, for subscribing to the YouTube channel, for your being a Patreon patron, for sharing this with someone else, and simply for your attention, the most valuable commodity any of us have to give. I appreciate you all, and that is going to do it for the 4th attempt of this episode of The Entrepreneurial Musician.